Ambassador Hana walked through the corridors of the Galactic Council headquarters with her head held high, despite the stares from dozens of different species. Some looked at her with respect, others with fear, a few with barely concealed hostility. She was used to it now. Being human meant being the subject of constant attention. She entered her office to find 3 messages waiting, all marked urgent. The first was from the Kralin Empire, demanding Earth pay reparations for the transformed ships. The second was from the Brevak Confederacy, requesting detailed technical specifications of Project Genesis. The third was from an unknown sender, but the message was clear enough. Deathworlders should stay on their death world. Hana deleted all 3 without responding. She had more important matters to deal with. The door chimed. "Come in," she called. Speaker Ven entered, his forearms carrying data tablets. His expression was grave. "Ambassador, we need to talk about Earth's future in the Council." "That sounds ominous," Hana said, gesturing for him to sit. "Should I be worried?" "Yes," Ven said bluntly. "The Kralin Empire is forming a coalition. They are calling it the Stability Alliance. Their stated goal is to prevent any single species from becoming too powerful or developing weapons that threaten galactic peace. By which they mean preventing Earth from becoming influential." "Exactly. So far, 17 species have joined the alliance. Most are smaller powers that fear change, but some are significant military forces." Hana leaned back in her chair. "Who are the key members?" Ven pulled up a holographic list. "The Kralin Empire, obviously. The Torvian Union, the Dreshek Collective, and the Harkin Confederacy. Together, they control nearly 40% of known space, and they all want to see Earth isolated or controlled. Yes. They are proposing sanctions, no technology sharing with Earth, restrictions on human travel through their space. Most concerning, they want to station monitoring ships near Earth to ensure you do not develop any more dangerous weapons." Hana felt anger rise in her chest but kept her voice calm. "Monitoring ships. They mean blockade ships. They want to cage us." "That is my interpretation as well," Ven admitted. "Ambassador, I want you to understand that not all council members support this. Many species are grateful for what Captain Hyunwoo did at Keth 7. The Velthians certainly are. But fear is a powerful motivator. Fear of what? We saved lives. We could have destroyed that Kralin fleet, but we chose transformation instead. We showed restraint. You showed power," Ven corrected gently. "And power frightens people, especially when it comes from an unexpected source. Humans have been in the galactic community for less than a decade. In that time, you have developed FTL technology decades ahead of schedule, built a military fleet that rivals species who have been spacefaring for centuries, and now you have revealed a weapon that can restructure matter. From the outside, it looks like Earth is preparing for conquest. That is ridiculous. We are preparing to defend ourselves, are you?" Ven asked. "Because from where many species stand, preparation for defense and preparation for aggression look very similar." Hana stood and walked to the window. Outside, she could see dozens of alien ships docked at the council station. Each one represented a different species, a different culture, a different way of viewing the universe. "What do you suggest, Speaker?" "You need allies," Ven said. "Real allies, not just species that appreciate what you did at Keth 7. You need species that will stand with Earth when the Stability Alliance makes its move." "And how do we get those allies?" "By proving that humanity is more valuable as a partner than as an enemy. By showing that your technology can help, not just harm." That evening, Hana called an emergency meeting with Earth's leadership. The holographic conference room filled with familiar faces. Admiral Kangman, head of Earth Defense, President Yoonji, leader of the Earth government, and Dr. Soman, who had been recalled from Keth 7 to consult on the political fallout. "The situation is worse than we thought," Hana began. She explained the Stability Alliance and their plans. Admiral Kangman's response was immediate. "We cannot allow a blockade. If they station ships near Earth, we must consider it an act of war. And if we treat it as war, we prove their point," President Yoonji countered. "We prove that humans are aggressive and dangerous." "We are aggressive and dangerous," Kangman said. "We are from Earth. Being dangerous is why we survived." "But being only dangerous will get us isolated," Hana said. "We need a different approach." Dr. Soman spoke up for the first time. "What if we share Genesis technology?" Everyone turned to look at her. "Share it?" Kangman said. "Absolutely not. That is our strategic advantage. Not share how to make it, Soman clarified. Share what it can do for good. We have 17 dead worlds in the neutral zone. Planets that cannot support life because of asteroid impacts, volcanic activity, or stellar radiation. What if we use Genesis to terraform one of those worlds? Not as a weapon, but as a gift to the galaxy? President Yunji leaned forward. Explain. Genesis was designed to create habitable worlds. We used it defensively at Keth 7, but that is not its purpose. We take one of those dead worlds and transform it. Publicly. With observers from every species. We prove that Genesis is a tool for creation, and then we offer the new world to refugees. What refugees? Hana asked. There are thousands of them scattered across the galaxy, Soman said. Species displaced by wars, natural disasters, failed colonies. People with no home. We give them a home. We show the galaxy that Earth builds, not just fights. The room went silent as everyone considered the proposal. Finally, President Yunji nodded. It is risky. If something goes wrong, if the transformation fails, we look incompetent. And if it succeeds? Hana asked. If it succeeds, Yunji said slowly, we change the conversation. We are no longer the scary Deathworlders with the dangerous weapon. We become the species that gives homes to the homeless. Admiral Kangman did not look happy. And if the Stability Alliance sees this as weakness? If they interpret our generosity as an attempt to buy support? Then let them, Hana said. Because while they debate our motives, we will be making friends. And friends are what we need right now. The decision was made. Earth would terraform a dead world and offer it to galactic refugees. The announcement was made 3 days later, and the galactic reaction was immediate and divided. The Velthians volunteered to help. So did the Orthani, a mysterious species that had been observing galactic events for centuries but rarely intervened. Several smaller species also offered support, eager to show they were not afraid of humanity. But the Stability Alliance denounced the plan as propaganda. The Kralin Empire's representative gave a speech calling it a transparent attempt to buy loyalty with impossible promises. The dead world chosen was called Baron 7, a rocky planet in the neutral zone that had been bombarded by asteroids billions of years ago. Its atmosphere was toxic, its surface was lifeless, and its orbit was stable enough to make it theoretically habitable if conditions changed. Captain Hyunwoo was given command of the operation. He brought the Indomitable and 3 support ships along with Dr. Soman and a team of scientists. Over 40 species sent observers to watch. The day of the transformation, hundreds of ships gathered at a safe distance. Cameras from every major galactic news network pointed at Baron 7. Some were there to witness history. Others were there hoping to see humans fail. Dr. Soman stood on the bridge of the Indomitable holding a control tablet. Captain, we are ready. The probes are in position. On your order. Hyunwoo looked at the barren planet on the main display. How long will the transformation take? 30 days for basic habitability, 6 months for a fully mature ecosystem, but the changes will be visible within hours. And the risk? Minimal. We are doing this exactly as Genesis was designed. No combat stress, no rush deployment. This should work perfectly. Hyunwoo nodded. Then let us show the galaxy what Deathworlders can build. Deploy the probes, Soman pressed the button. 20 probes launched from the Indomitable, each one carrying a payload of Genesis nanomachines. They entered Baron 7's atmosphere and spread out across the planet, forming a perfect grid. Then they activated. The transformation began at the molecular level, too small to see at first, but within an hour the planet's color began to change. The gray rock took on shades of brown, then green, then blue. The toxic atmosphere lightened, then cleared. Within 6 hours, clouds formed. Within 12 hours, the first liquid water appeared on the surface. Within 24 hours, simple plants began growing from the transformed soil. The observer ships watched in stunned silence. Some species had terraforming technology, but it took centuries of work, massive industrial equipment, and enormous resources. The humans had done it in a day. On the 30th day, Dr. Somin announced that Baron 7 was ready for habitation. The planet now had breathable air, clean water, fertile soil, and a stable climate. It could support millions of people. President Yunji made the official declaration. This world, which we now name New Haven, is a gift from Earth to the displaced peoples of the galaxy. Any refugee from any species is welcome here. We will help them build cities, establish agriculture, and create new lives. The response was overwhelming. Within days, thousands of refugees from dozens of species applied to settle on New Haven. The aftermath of the battle left everyone stunned. In the Galactic Council chamber, 200 species watched the recordings in complete silence. The footage showed tungsten rods moving at impossible speeds, human ships pulling maneuvers that should have killed their crews, and then the final act, the weapon that defied all understanding, Project Genesis, a weapon that did not destroy but transformed. "Replay the transformation sequence," Speaker Venn ordered. His four hands trembled slightly as he pointed at the display. The hologram showed it again. The silver sphere expanding, touching the Kraylan warships, and then the change. Metal becoming crystal. Weapons becoming organic structures. Warships becoming something that looked more alive than mechanical. "They turned ships into habitats," whispered Commander Thalas. "In seconds. That kind of matter manipulation should be impossible." "Impossible is a word humans do not seem to understand," Venn replied. On Keth 7, Captain Hyunwoo stood in the colony's medical center, watching as human doctors worked alongside Velthian healers to treat the rescued prisoners. 200 people saved from slavery, but the cost had been high. 3 human crew members dead, 17 injured, and 2 ships damaged badly enough to need months of repairs. Elder Mirai approached him, her crystalline features reflecting the soft lights of the medical bay. She moved with the grace of her species, each step deliberate and elegant. When she stood before the captain, she bowed in the Velthian way, arms crossed over her chest. "Captain Hyunwoo, my people owe you a debt we can never repay. You came when no one else would. You fought when the odds said you should have run, and you used a weapon unlike anything the galaxy has seen. We did what anyone should do," Hyunwoo said. "We helped people who needed help." "But the weapon," Mirai said, and now her voice carried something that might have been fear. "Captain, what kind of species creates such a thing?" "A weapon that does not kill but changes the very nature of matter. It is beautiful and terrifying at the same time." Before Hyunwoo could answer, the medical bay doors opened. A woman entered, small even by human standards, wearing a white coat marked with the symbol of Earth's Science Division. Her hair was tied back in a practical bun and her eyes were tired but alert. "Captain," she said with a slight bow, "I came as soon as my shuttle landed." "Where are they?" "Dr. Salmon." Hyunwoo gestured toward the viewport where the 12 transformed Kraylan ships hung in space like strange sculptures. "There. Exactly as the probe programmed them." Dr. Somin pressed her face close to the glass, studying the ships with the intensity of a mother looking at her children. "Magnificent. The nanomachines worked perfectly, better than the simulations predicted." "Doctor," Elder Mirai said carefully, "you created this weapon?" Somin turned, seeming to notice the Velthian leader for the first time. "Weapon? No, Elder, I created a terraforming tool. Project Genesis was designed to turn dead worlds into living ones. It was meant to help species expand across the galaxy without fighting over limited habitable planets." "Then why does it work on ships?" Mirai asked. "Because at the molecular level, a ship and a planet are just arrangements of atoms. The nanomachines do not care if they are restructuring rock or metal. They follow their programming, analyze the existing structure, imagine a better version, and rebuild it to support life." Mirai looked between the scientist and the captain. "You turned a tool for creation into a weapon." "Yes," Hyunwoo said simply. "We did not have a choice. The Kraylan were going to kill your people, but now you have shown the galaxy what you can do. Every species will fear you. Every military will try to develop their own version. You have changed everything." Dr. Soman walked to the viewport again, her expression sad. "I know. I created Genesis to help, and now it will be remembered as a weapon. That is the price of using it this way." "Would you change your decision?" Mirai asked the captain. "If you could go back, would you still deploy it?" Hyunwoo looked at the medical bay, where rescued Velthians were being reunited with their families. He saw tears of joy, embraces of relief, lives saved from slavery and death. "No," he said. "I would do it again. Every time." A message chimed on Hyunwoo's communication device. He checked it and his expression hardened. "The Galactic Council wants to meet with us. They are calling an emergency session. They will demand you destroy the technology," Mirai predicted, "or they will try to take it from you." "They can try," Hyunwoo said. "But Project Genesis belongs to Earth. We decide how it is used." 3 days later, Captain Hyunwoo and Dr. Soman stood before the Galactic Council. The massive chamber was packed with representatives from across known space. Some looked curious, others fearful, and a few looked angry. Speaker Ven began the session. Captain Hyunwoo, Dr. Soman, you are here to answer questions about the weapon deployed at Keith 7. The Council has concerns about technology that can restructure matter at will. It is not a weapon, Soman said firmly. It is a terraforming tool that was used defensively. A tool that transforms warships? Challenged Representative Cross of the Bravak Confederacy. That sounds like a weapon to me. The Kralin ships were not destroyed, Soman explained. Their crews were unharmed. In fact, the transformed ships now provide better life support than the originals. Cleaner air, natural light, growing plants. The nanomachines improve the ships. That is what terrifies us, Ven said quietly. You did not just defeat the Kralin. You changed their ships into something better without their permission. That level of control is unprecedented. Hyunwoo stepped forward. The Kralin came to enslave peaceful people. We stopped them. If that makes you afraid of humanity, then perhaps you should ask yourself why you are not afraid of the Kralin. A murmur ran through the chamber. Some representatives nodded. Others looked offended. The Council is not questioning your motives, Ven said. We are questioning the existence of such technology. What if it falls into the wrong hands? What if someone uses it to transform inhabited worlds without permission? That is why it stays with Earth, Hyunwoo said. We created it. We control it. We decide when and how it is used. And if we demand you share it, Cross challenged. For the good of the galaxy? Then we refuse, Hyunwoo said. His voice was calm but absolutely firm. Earth does not share military technology with species we barely know. Especially not species that arrived too late to help the Velthians. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Some demanded sanctions against Earth. Others argued that humanity had saved lives and should be rewarded. The debate raged for hours. Finally, Elder Mirai rose to speak. The chamber quieted, out of respect for the species that had suffered most recently. I speak for the Velthian people, she said. The humans came when no one else would. They fought against impossible odds. They used a weapon they did not want to use to save people they had never met. They showed restraint when they could have destroyed the Kralin fleet completely. She turned to face Hyunwoo and Soman. Yes, their technology is frightening. Yes, their capacity for violence is shocking. But their capacity for compassion is equally strong. They are Deathworlders, but they came to protect life, not end it. Ven considered her words carefully. The Council will vote. Should humanity be allowed to keep control of Project Genesis? Or should the technology be sealed and forbidden for all species? The vote took 2 hours. When it finished, the result was narrow but clear. Earth would keep the technology, but with conditions. Regular inspections, strict usage protocols, and a promise to only deploy it as a last resort. Hyunwoo accepted the terms. They were reasonable, and more importantly, they gave Earth what it needed. Recognition that humans could be trusted with power. As they left the council chamber, Dr. Soman looked at the captain. They will try to steal the technology. You know that, right? Species will send spies, try to hack our systems, offer bribes. I know, Hyunwoo said, but we will protect it. The same way we protect everything else we care about. By being too tough to defeat. By being too valuable to lose. Back on Earth, the news of the battle spread quickly. Humanity had faced 50 warships and won. They had deployed a weapon that transformed matter itself. They had proven that Deathworlders were not just strong, but creative, unpredictable, and incredibly dangerous when protecting others. But in the dark spaces between stars, other species watched and planned. Some saw humanity as saviors, others saw them as threats, and a few saw them as targets, species that needed to be controlled before they became too powerful. The humans had announced themselves to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. Now they would have to live with the consequences. The 36 hours felt like 36 years. Inside the Indomitable, crew members lay in their acceleration couches, bodies pressed flat by forces that would have crushed most alien species. Some slept in shifts aided by medication. Others simply endured, focusing on breathing, on staying conscious, on surviving one more minute. Ensign Doyen had thrown up twice into the collection tube built into his couch. His ribs ached from the constant pressure. Every breath was work, but his hands never left the controls, and his eyes never left the navigation display. They were making good time. 36 hours was going to be 34. Lieutenant Ji-won had stopped feeling her legs after the first 12 hours. She knew they were still there, still functional, but the constant acceleration had numbed everything below her waist. She used the time to run combat simulations, playing out hundreds of scenarios in her mind. 50 ships against 5. The math was brutal. They needed an advantage, something the Kraylan would never expect. That was when the idea came to her. "Captain," she said, her voice strained from the pressure on her chest. "I have a plan." "It is insane." "Good," Hyunwoo replied. "Sane plans are for species that do not come from Deathworlds." When they finally dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Keth 7 system, the crew gasped in relief as the acceleration ended. For several minutes no one moved. They simply lay there, remembering what it felt like when their bodies did not weigh 3 times normal. "Medical teams report," Hyunwoo ordered. 2 broken ribs on deck 7, 1 dislocated shoulder, some internal bruising. "Nothing serious," came the response, "nothing serious." They had just survived a journey that would have killed most galactic citizens, and the injuries were minor. Hyunwoo allowed himself a small smile. "All stations battle ready. Ji-won, show me what we are facing." The main display lit up with a tactical map. Keth 7 hung in space like a blue jewel, surrounded by a web of red markers. 50 Kraylan warships formed a loose blockade around the moon. Their weapons were charged, their shields active. They were waiting for any rescue attempt. "They have not detected us yet," Ji-won reported. "We dropped out of FTL behind the system's asteroid belt. Sensors are reading us as background noise. Time until they spot us? 20 minutes, maybe 30 if we are lucky. Then we do not wait. Doyen, take us into the asteroid field. Ji-won, begin deployment of the packages." In the cargo bay, automated systems activated. Hundreds of small cylindrical objects were loaded into launch tubes. They were simple, almost primitive by galactic standards. No energy shields, no plasma warheads, no exotic matter cores. Just tungsten rods, each one 3 meters long and 10 centimeters wide, with a basic guidance system and a thruster. "Packages away," Ji-won reported. "They are entering the gravity wells now." On the moon's surface, Elder Mirai stood in the command center of the Velthian colony. Her crystalline features reflected the emergency lights that bathed everything in red. The shields were failing. They had hours at best. "Elder, we are detecting something," one of her technicians said. 5 new contacts, small vessels moving through the asteroid field. "The Council fleet?" Mirai felt hope surge in her chest. "No, Elder. These are human ships." The hope flickered but did not die. She had heard of humans. The newcomers from the death world called Earth. They were supposed to be primitive, aggressive, barely civilized, but they were here when no one else was. "Open a channel," she ordered. Captain Hyunwoo's face appeared on her screen. He looked tired, but his eyes were sharp and focused. "Elder Mirai, I am Captain Hyunwoo of the Earth Defense Fleet. We received your distress call. We are here to help." "Captain, I am grateful, but your 5 ships cannot defeat 50 Kraylan warships. You should save yourselves." "Elder, we did not travel 34 hours through hell to turn around now. Please lower your shields on my mark. We are going to need a clear path to your surface." "Lower our shields? But the Kraylan will—" "Trust me, Elder. In 60 seconds, the Kraylan are going to have bigger problems than your shields." Mirai looked at her technicians, then back at the calm human face on the screen. Something in his voice made her believe. "Very well, Captain. We trust you." In orbit, the Kraylan commander Vesk studied the tactical display with satisfaction. The Velthian shields were nearly depleted. Soon they would begin landing troops and taking prisoners. The Velthians would make excellent slaves, their delicate hands perfect for precision work. "Commander, we are detecting some small objects moving through the system," an officer reported. "Trajectory indicates they originated from the asteroid belt." "Debris," Vesk said dismissively. "The asteroid belt is unstable in this system. It sheds rocks constantly. Should we investigate? Why waste time on rocks when we have a colony to conquer? Maintain position." That was when Lieutenant Ji-won pressed the button. The tungsten rods had been moving through space for 19 minutes, slowly accelerating as they used gravitational slingshots from asteroids and small moons. They had no energy signature, no heat trail, nothing that would register on standard sensors. They were just metal in space, moving fast and getting faster. When they finally reached their targets, they were traveling at 3,000 kilometers per second. The first Kraylan ship never knew what hit it. The tungsten rod punched through its shields as if they were not there. the kinetic energy so massive that energy barriers designed to stop plasma and lasers simply failed to register the threat. The rod tore through the hull, through 3 decks, through the reactor core and out the other side. The ship exploded in a brilliant flash. 11 more Kraylan ships died in the next 5 seconds. Silent death from the darkness. Metal moving faster than their sensors could track, destroying ships with pure kinetic force. "What is happening?" Commander Vesk screamed. "Where are those attacks coming from?" "Unknown, Commander. We detect no energy weapons, no missile launches, nothing." "Find them. Find the source." But the human ships were already moving. They burst from the asteroid belt, engines blazing, weapons hot. 5 ships against 38 now, but the element of surprise was on humanity's side. "All ships engage at will," Hyunwoo ordered. "Show them what Deathworlders bring to a fight." The Indomitable opened fire with its railguns, weapons that most galactic species considered obsolete. Why use metal projectiles when you had plasma? But plasma could be deflected by magnetic fields and dispersed by shields. Metal did not care about magnetic fields. Metal just kept going. The human ships moved with a speed and agility that shocked the Kraylan. They pulled maneuvers that should have killed their crews, spinning and diving and accelerating in ways that violated every safety protocol in the Galactic Naval Manual, because humans could take it. Their bodies were designed for high gravity, for sudden impacts, for stress that would kill softer species. They had evolved on a death world, and that evolution made them perfect for war in space. Ensign Doyen flew like his life depended on it, because it did. He spun the Indomitable through a gap between 2 Kraylan ships, so close that the shields scraped. Behind him, a Kraylan vessel exploded as Jiwon's railguns found its reactor. 3 more ships destroyed, Jiwon reported, her voice steady despite the chaos. 35 remaining. "Not good enough," Hyunwoo said. "We need to even these odds faster. Prepare for boarding action." Deep in the ship, Sergeant Borum and her Marine team waited in the drop pods. She checked her rifle for the 5th time, then looked at her squad. "Remember, the Kraylan are from a low-gravity world. They are fast but fragile. Do not let them surround you. Stay together, watch your corners, and get those prisoners out." "Yes, Sergeant," they replied in unison. The drop pod launched, and they were falling toward a Kraylan ship, ready to show the galaxy that humans were dangerous not just in space, but up close and personal too. The drop pod hit the Kraylan ship's hull with a force that would have shattered the bones of most species. Inside, Sergeant Borum and her team barely felt it. Their armor absorbed the impact, and their bodies, trained and evolved for Earth's crushing gravity, simply endured. The cutting torch activated, burning through the alien metal in seconds. The hull breached, and atmosphere rushed out in a violent gust. The Marines were already moving, their magnetic boots locking them to the floor as they pushed into the ship. Kraylan soldiers appeared in the corridor, tall and thin with 4 legs and 2 arms, their skin a pale gray. They raised weapons that glowed with blue energy. Plasma rifles, standard galactic military equipment. "Contact," Corporal Taeyang shouted, raising his ballistic shield. The plasma bolts hit the shield and dispersed exactly as expected. What the Kraylan did not expect was the return fire. Human rifles barked, loud and primitive sounding, firing chunks of metal at supersonic speeds. The Kraylan soldiers, adapted to lower gravity and lighter impacts, fell quickly. Their flexible exoskeletons, perfect for absorbing plasma heat, did nothing against solid projectiles. "Clear," Borum said. "Taeyang, find the prisoner holding area. Everyone else establish a perimeter." They moved through the ship like ghosts, fast and efficient. The Kraylan had never faced humans in close combat before. They learned quickly that fighting a Deathworlder in an enclosed space was very different from fighting them in ships. A Kraylan soldier tried to grapple with Borum. He was taller than her by half a meter, and his forelegs gave him excellent stability. But she was stronger. Earth's gravity had made her strong. She broke his grip, spun him around, and slammed him into the wall hard enough to crack his exoskeleton. "Prisoner bay located," Taeyang reported. 200 Velthians guarded by 20 Kraylan. "Breach and clear," Borum ordered. The door exploded inward. Flashbangs filled the room with light and sound. The Kraylan guards stumbled, their sensitive vision overwhelmed. The human Marines moved in fast, weapons ready. Within 30 seconds, the guards were down and the prisoners were free. The Velthians stared at their rescuers in shock. These humans, covered in heavy armor and carrying primitive weapons, had just done what an entire Galactic Council fleet had deemed impossible. Can you walk? Borum asked a group of Velthians huddled in the corner. One of them, a young female with crystalline features similar to Elder Mirai, nodded. Yes, we can walk. Who are you? Sergeant Borum, Earth Defense Fleet Marines. We are getting you out of here. Stay close, stay quiet, and run when we tell you to run. Back in space, the battle had become chaos. The Krylon fleet, initially shocked by the human attack, had regrouped. Commander Vesk was furious. 12 ships destroyed by invisible attacks, 5 more damaged by these primitive projectile weapons, and now humans were boarding his vessels. All ships, converge on the human fleet. He ordered, overwhelm them with numbers. They cannot fight us all at once. The Krylon ships moved in, forming a tightening net around the 5 human vessels. On the Indomitable's bridge, Captain Hyunwoo watched the enemy formation close in. They are trying to surround us, Ensign Doyen said, his voice tight with stress. Let them. Hyunwoo replied calmly. Ji-won, what is the status of Borum's team? They have the prisoners and are moving to extraction point. 3 minutes until pickup. We need to buy them 3 minutes. Can we do that against 30 ships? Ji-won looked at her tactical display. The math was not good. The Krylon had overwhelming firepower now. The human ships were fast and tough, but they could not dodge forever. Already shields were failing on 2 of the escort vessels. Captain, we need to retreat. We saved 200 prisoners. That is a victory. There are 10,000 more Velthians on that moon, Hyunwoo said quietly. If we leave now, the Krylon will take them all. We did not come here to save some. We came here to save them all. Then we need something big, Ji-won said. Something that will make them stop. Something they have never seen before. Hyunwoo was silent for a moment. Then he pressed a button on his command chair, opening a secure channel. Engineering, this is the captain. Prepare Project Genesis for deployment. The bridge went quiet. Every officer turned to look at him. Project Genesis was supposed to be a secret. A weapon of last resort that Earth had developed but never tested in combat. Sir, Ji-won said carefully, we do not know what will happen if we use that here. The simulations do not matter anymore, Hyunwoo interrupted. What matters is those 10,000 people down on that moon. What matters is showing the Krylon that attacking peaceful species has consequences. He opened a channel to Elder Mirai. Her face appeared on the screen, showing fear and hope in equal measure. Elder, I need you to listen carefully. We are going to deploy a weapon. It will not harm your people or your moon. But you need to shut down all your systems. Everything electronic, everything digital. Do it now and do not turn anything back on until I give the all clear. Captain, what kind of weapon? Please. Elder. Trust me one more time. Mirai looked into his eyes and saw something there that made her decision. Very well. We are shutting down now. Hyunwoo turned to his crew. All ships fall back to the moon's surface. Get between the Krylon fleet and the colony. When I give the signal, cut all power except life support. Captain, Doyen said, if we cut power, we will be sitting ducks. I know. Do it anyway. The 5 human ships retreated, limping on damaged shields and smoking engines. They positioned themselves in a defensive formation above the Velthian colony. To Commander Vesk, it looked like surrender. They are beaten, he said with satisfaction. Move in for the kill. Destroy the human ships, then proceed with the original mission. The Krylon fleet advanced, weapons charging for the final strike. That was when the Indomitable launched a single probe. It was small, no bigger than a human fist, and it flew straight toward the center of the Krylon formation. What is that? Vesk demanded. Some kind of bomb? Scanning now, Commander. It appears to be. I do not know what it is. The energy signature is unlike anything in our database. The probe reached the center of the Krylon fleet and stopped. For 60 seconds, nothing happened. Vesk began to laugh. They sent us a dud. Pathetic, all ships fire on. The probe exploded, but not with fire or force. It exploded with light, a sphere of silver energy that expanded at impossible speed. It touched the nearest Krylon ship and the hull began to change. The metal was not melting. It was transforming. Panels of dark alloy became crystalline structures. Weapons ports grew into organic shapes. The ship's angular military design softened, became rounded, became something that looked more like a habitat than a warship. 12 Krylon ships were caught in the sphere's expansion before it finally stopped. They hung in space, no longer warships but strange hybrid structures of metal and crystal and organic matter. Their weapons were gone. Their shields were gone. They were not destroyed. They were changed. By the stars, Vesk whispered. What have they done? Inside one of the transformed ships, Kraylan crew members stumbled through corridors that no longer looked like corridors. The walls pulsed with soft light. The air was fresh and clean, filtered by crystalline structures that had grown where air recyclers used to be. Everything was different but somehow still functional. One soldier touched a wall and it was warm, almost alive. What is this? He said to no one. What kind of weapon is this? On the Indomitable, Hyunwoo opened a channel to the entire Kralin fleet. His face appeared on every screen, his voice echoing through every ship. Commander Vesk, my name is Captain Hyunwoo. The weapon you just saw is called Project Genesis. It was designed to terraform dead worlds, to turn barren rock into living planets. We have never used it as a weapon before today. He paused, letting that sink in. 12 of your ships have been transformed. They are not destroyed. Your crews are alive and unharmed. In 72 hours, the transformation will reverse and your ships will return to normal. But now you know what we can do. Vesk stared at the screen, his mind struggling to process what he had just witnessed. These humans had not destroyed his ships. They had reimagined them. They had shown a level of control and power that was somehow more terrifying than simple destruction. You have a choice, Commander. Hyunwoo continued. You can retreat now, or I can deploy more probes. I have 17 left. How many of your ships do you want to become gardens? The Kralin fleet sat in space, weapons charged but no one firing. They had come to conquer a peaceful species. Instead, they had found Deathworlders with technology that defied understanding. Commander Vesk knew when he was beaten. All ships retreat. Full speed back to Kralin space. The Kralin fleet turned and fled, leaving their transformed vessels behind. On the moon's surface, Elder Mirai and her people emerged from their shelters to see the human ship still standing guard above them. They did it, Mirai whispered. The Deathworlders actually did it. The emergency broadcast cut through every communication channel in the Galactic Council chamber, static mixed with desperate voices, and then the words that made every representative freeze in their seats. This is Elder Mirai of the Velthian colony on Keth 7. We are under attack. The Kralin Empire has breached our defenses. They are taking our people. Please, anyone who can hear this, we need help. Our shields will fail in 3 days. After that, they will take everyone who remains. This is our final message. The transmission ended. Silence filled the massive chamber where 200 different species had gathered for what was supposed to be a routine trade negotiation. Now the holographic display showed the distant moon of Keth 7, a small blue dot surrounded by 50 red markers. Each red marker was a Kralin warship. Council Speaker Ven rose from his seat, his forearms gesturing for calm. We must send aid immediately. The Velthians are a peaceful species. They have no weapons, no defenses beyond basic shields. Our nearest fleet is 16 days away, said Commander Thalas of the Brevac forces. His scaled face showed genuine concern. The Velthians do not have 16 days. Around the chamber, representatives from dozens of worlds spoke at once. Some demanded action. Others calculated the cost. A few quietly suggested that perhaps the Velthians should simply surrender. After all, the Kralin Empire was powerful, and opposing them might bring consequences. In the back of the chamber, a screen flickered to life. The face that appeared was human, a species so new to the Galactic Council that many representatives had never seen one in person. This is Captain Hyunwoo of the Earth Defense Fleet. We received the distress signal. How long until Council forces arrive at Keth 7? Speaker Ven looked at the human face with something close to pity. Captain, our forces are too far away. We are still organizing a response. I appreciate your concern, but this is a matter for established military powers. How long? Hyunwoo repeated. His voice was calm, but there was steel underneath. 16 days minimum, Ven admitted. We can be there in 36 hours. The chamber erupted in noise. Impossible, several species declared. The humans were light years away from Keth 7. Even with the fastest ships in the galaxy, such a journey would take at least a week. And that was if the crew was willing to risk dangerous speeds that could tear a ship apart. Captain, Ben said carefully, your enthusiasm is noted, but humans are still learning galactic travel. Your ships are not designed for such speeds. Your crews would not survive the acceleration required. Let us worry about that, Hyunwoo said. Do the Velthians need help or not? Of course they need help, but sending 5 human ships against 50 Kralin warships is suicide. Your species is brave, but bravery without wisdom is simply death. Hyunwoo's expression did not change. We are already moving. Earth Defense Fleet is setting course for Keth 7. We will arrive in 36 hours. Hyunwoo out. The screen went dark. The chamber fell silent again. But this time the silence was different. It was the silence of people watching someone walk toward certain death. On the bridge of the Earth flagship Indomitable, Captain Hyunwoo turned to his tactical officer. Lieutenant Ji-won stood at her station, her fingers dancing across holographic controls as she plotted their course. 36 hours was optimistic, she said without looking up. We will need to push the engines to 130% capacity. The crew will experience up to 8 Gs during acceleration. Can we make it? Hyunwoo asked. Yes. Will everyone survive the trip? Probably. Will we be in any condition to fight when we arrive? She finally looked at him. That depends on how tough we really are. At the pilot station, Ensign Doyen checked his harness for the 3rd time. He was young, barely 23, and this would be his first real combat mission. His hand shook slightly as he initialized the navigation system. Ensign, Hyunwoo said quietly, you can request transfer to a support ship. No one will question your courage. Doyen swallowed hard. Sir, I joined the fleet to make a difference. If we can save those people, then I want to be here. Hyunwoo nodded. He pressed the ship-wide intercom. All hands, this is the captain. In 10 minutes, we begin acceleration toward Keth 7. You all know what we are flying into. 50 Krylon warships hold that moon. They have better weapons, better shields, and more experience than we do. The Galactic Council thinks we are fools for trying. He paused, looking at the faces of his bridge crew. But we are human. We come from Earth, a world that tried to kill us every single day for millions of years. We survived ice ages and plagues. We climbed mountains that touched the sky and dove into oceans deep enough to crush steel. We split the atom and walked on our moon before we could even leave our own solar system. We do not know how to quit. Around the ship, crew members strapped themselves into acceleration couches. Medical teams prepared emergency supplies. Engineers ran final checks on systems that were about to be pushed far beyond their design limits. The Velthians need help, Hyunwoo continued. They are innocent people facing slavery and death. The galaxy says it is too far, too dangerous, too difficult. But we are going anyway, because that is what humans do. We show up when others cannot. We fight when others will not, and we win when everyone says we will lose. He looked at Ji-won, who gave him a sharp nod. All stations report ready, Captain. Then let us show the galaxy what Deathworlders can do. Helm, maximum acceleration. Take us to Keth 7. The Indomitable's engines flared to life with a roar that shook the entire ship. Behind it, 4 more human vessels followed. Together, the small fleet punched through space at speeds that would have killed most galactic species. Inside their acceleration couches, the crew felt their bodies pressed down with crushing force. Breathing became difficult. Moving was impossible. But they endured, because endurance was something humans understood better than anyone. Back at the Galactic Council, alarms sounded as sensors detected the human fleet's acceleration. Technicians stared at their displays in disbelief. They are actually doing it, one technician whispered. Those crazy Deathworlders are really doing it. Speaker Ven watched the sensor data with growing concern. Send a message to the Velthians. Tell them help is coming. Tell them to hold on for 36 more hours. Should we tell them it is only 5 human ships? Someone asked. Ven thought about the determination in Captain Hyunwoo's voice. He thought about a species that had clawed its way up from a world of constant danger to reach the stars in record time. No, he said finally. Tell them that the humans are coming. That should be enough.